Hello everybody, and welcome to Toastmasters in the Community. We'd like to let all of you know that we have Toastmasters meetings all through Staten Island, and we would like to encourage everybody in our community to watch our Toastmaster show and join a Toastmaster club in your area. Today I have Rachel Weiss co-hosting with me, and Rachel, it's great to be back. We're on hiatus for a little while, but we are back presenting our show to you. And our show today is in memory of Fran. Fran Okeson, who was our leader and who was the person who started this show, has passed. And we want to let everyone know that we are continuing her journey of presenting Toastmasters to the Staten Island community.
And we also would like to thank the crew here at CTV, Kenny, and the crew here of Speak Up, the Toastmasters in the community, No Limits Toastmasters, for sticking with us and helping us produce this show. At this point, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, which is Jane Costiola. She is going to speak about My Friend Fran. My Friend Fran. Jane?
Thank you very much. Friends come in and out of our lives at different times. Some friends you have from childhood. Others you may meet in groups you are involved in. Fran Okeson came into my life one Wednesday evening in April of 2018. When I walked into a Toastmasters meeting for the first time, she was sitting there at the head of the table, larger than life. I understood immediately that she was in control. After only one meeting, I decided to join the Richmond County Toastmasters, and she was extremely happy about that and encouraged me. I had no idea what to do and how to do it. She explained to me that I should not worry and guided, supported, and advised me on what and how to make my speeches, encouraging me to speak about things that I was interested in. Fran joined Toastmasters in 1988 and was a member of 7 different clubs on Staten Island, 6 of which she had chartered. In 1997, she had chartered our club, No Limits Toastmasters, which at that time was for people with disabilities and people with special needs. She received a presidential citation from Toastmasters International for chartering a club for the disabled. Fran also received proclamations from 3 Staten Island borough presidents for her volunteer efforts in the community. A 1,000 Points of Light proclamation from President George H.W. Bush. She was a member of the International Pen Pal Club since 1969 and had maintained a friendship with a woman in Somerset, England for over 39 years, someone she had never met. Over the years, Fran had been involved in many different activities, but a major part of her life was caring for 31 foster children, and as well as being an adult family care provider for 31 years, caring for over 50 residents. Fran founded and directed the Miss Tottenville pageant from 1973 to 1977. And Frances was also the president of the Tottenville Library Association. She was involved as being part of the board of directors of Boys Hope, a Great Kills residence for the disadvantaged boys, and she was a Girl Scout leader for 13 years and founding president of the Women's Club of Tottenville from 1985 to 2019. She was the queen mother of the Women's Club of Tottenville, the Red Hat Society, which was formed in 2004. Fran also became my friend. Through my year and a half that I knew her and worked with her, we began to have many conversations on the phone. And I knew when I had to speak to Fran that I had to have enough time for our conversations, because sometimes they could be very lengthy. She invited me to come to this show and to be a guest with her on the show. And I was hooked. From that first time of being here, I then decided to join this club, and now have become part of the crew and now co-hosting. As our friendship grew, my father became ill, and Fran became moral support for me, speaking to me, and her kind words and quotes that she would send me were of great comfort. And as her health began to decline, she began to ask for help. And I was proud that she had entrusted me with some of the duties that she wasn't able to do. She had asked Rachel and I to co-host for her when she wasn't able to come, which prepared us for the time when she was no longer here and we would have to take on this responsibility. She continued to encourage us and to encourage me to become more involved. And I was thankful for her advice and her guidance. My life is better, and I have been blessed because of Fran Okeson. As my friend and mentor, I will treasure our time together and our conversations. I miss them and know that she is guiding me from the Toastmaster Club in heaven, which I think by now she is president of. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jane. And yes, it is a privilege to be able to be here on cable TV, CTV, and be your hosts for this program. It was great to be able to hear your reaction and response to how Fran impacted your life. Jane?
Yes, she had a very big impact on me. I'm choked up a little bit right now of sitting in this seat where she sat, guiding us all, telling us what to do and how to do it. When we did things right, she was quick to compliment us, and when we did something wrong, she was even quicker to correct us. So we are grateful to be here. And now we have our second speech will be by Song Ramasa, Shall We Dance? Song.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I miss Fran, but I'm going to talk about dance today. Hello, fellow Toastmasters. Welcome a guest and TV audience. Today, I feel like I'm a kid in the candy store because I get to do my two favorite things. My new hobby, public speaking, and speaking about my old hobby, dancing. Although dancing is my 40 years old hobby, taking a dance lesson only started a few years ago. First, my husband, John, and I started group salsa dancing lessons from the very basic steps. Then we started taking private 1 hour a week, private ballroom dance lessons here in Staten Island. At home, we practice about a few hours a week. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a question for you. How many of you enjoy dancing? How about not interested in dancing? About 50-50. Great. I always loved dancing, but not my husband. So I had so many years of convincing my husband to go to dance lessons with me until he was finally sold. How did I convince my husband to change mind from not interested in dancing to, okay, let's try it? First, I showed him the New York Times article in March 2017 about scientific study that was done by neuroscientists at University of Illinois in Urbana and other schools. According to the study, dance, mastering tricky timing and new moves, of course, and avoiding your dance partner's toes may be better for the brain than any other kind of exercises, evidenced by brain white matters growth, which is our brain cells that affects our brain function and learning. Secondly, I kept asking him to imagine how fun it would be to be surrounded by romantic music, good food, and drinks, as well as mingling with other people. Just to visualize dancing under the stars on a cruise ship someday. Third, I shared my feelings with him. I told him dance influences my mood, life outlook, and over my lifestyle positively. I'll close my speech with a quotation from the writer, Vicky Baum, who said, "There are shortcuts to happiness, and dance is one of them." Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Sung. I happen to like to dance, so it's funny when I meet people that aren't really, that don't feel comfortable dancing. Because I think all of us naturally have a little bit of a bounce in us that we, when we hear music, that
just engages us.
It engages your body, that your body is meant to move.
Absolutely.
So I think we all have it. We just don't nurture it. I think if more people might just nurture that bounce, there would be more dancers in the world.
I know for me it's because of self-consciousness. And to get over that, sometimes that's why you go to the dance studio, because you get the mirrors. You can see that you're not as awkward as you think you are. So taking those lessons definitely gets you out of your uneasy comfort zone into a place that you can really enjoy dance. So thank you, Sung, for that wonderful speech on dancing.
Yes. I'd like to welcome now our third speaker, Joan Maurizio, and her speech, "Do You Remember?" Joan Maurizio.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day. I have to say something, and there's a lot of somethings I could say. I could probably speak about an hour, but I took some of the best things that people might not know. As much as Fran stayed away from conferences in the last few years, it was because she was getting old. Her car was getting old. I remember Diane King's Govmobile, because she was the governor at that time, so we called it the Govmobile. Big white piece of vehicle that was really fantastic. Then after that, there was Irene Rosado, and we would all pass the hat and say, this can't come out of our salary. Let's all take up a collection for gas. I remember those wonderful days. And then, little by little, people dropped out. They had other things to do. I get lost, and I don't think she wanted to drive all the way over the bridge. So we stopped going. That's what we did. We used to carpool, but it's no more. But I do love the conferences, and I do recommend them. It's worth every bang for your buck. It's a wonderful experience. But did you know that Fran was chosen as Toastmaster of the Year more than once? And that is a very, very, very reserved thing. That's the entire district. So I give kudos to her. I thought that was wonderful. I think it surprised her, too, because she never expected it. I remember the times when Fran depended through the transitions of everything that was going on in Toastmaster over the years, a change of manuals and adding more manuals, and being the person in charge, the area governor, district governor, division governor, she's done all of it. She would send Toastmasters International a nice box of chocolates every year, and I bet she didn't even do it just once a year, but we found out about it about Christmas time. But I think she did a lot of nice things for them, too. The friendship, the professionalism goes both ways, and Fran knew how to handle that. I remember the long conversations with her. It'll only be about 15 minutes. It'll only be a half hour. And then at one point, I'd say, hey, I got to call up my mom, or I'm not going to talk to her till tomorrow. But what I loved most about our conversations was her love for animals. One of the last conversations we had was, I was telling her I was coming off the highway, and it says off ramp 40 miles an hour or 35 miles an hour, and there's the guy behind me still doing 60. And I'm looking at the end of the ramp, and maybe he can't see this. He had a vehicle where he sits up higher in the seat, but I don't think he saw what I saw. There were 2 deer just standing there at the end of the off-ramp, and he's in a hurry to go to the 3 lanes on Drumgoole Road. So I get very annoyed when I see this, because I had to put my flashes on to let him know there's an emergency. Even though it doesn't appear to be, there is an emergency. But anyway, I think those deer are still alive. I remember all she did for the neighborhood animals, even right to the point where she was part of a program where she had the cats in the area neutered so they didn't give way to more cats. One of the cute things I remember was I was actually on the phone with her one time, and Peter said to her, got any goodies, Mom? She says, just check the freezer. He says, don't put stuff in the freezer anymore. I know about that place. You have to hide things better. And I just thought that was so funny, I burst out laughing on the phone. So I thought that was cute. These were the things she would share with you on the phone. I remember at one time we had 19 members. And she said, we need one more member. We need more. I have to ask Peter to join. I thought that was so funny. But she taught me a lot of stuff in my lifetime. And I have to say one thing was the 2 sides to every coin. Because I remember when I used to drive for places, and I would get annoyed when somebody would just jump in front of us or do something like beep us too soon before the light even changed. And I'd say, what's wrong with that guy? He's crazy. She's driving, he has no patience. And she would say, well, maybe he's got to go to the bathroom. Maybe he's on his way to the hospital. Maybe this, maybe that. And I said, yeah, and maybe it's a stolen car, or maybe he's on drugs, or maybe he's on the phone. But we used to have conversations like that. I gave a speech a while ago about electricity. And one of the things she shared with me was the electrical problems she had with the company charging her too much. They're always assuming things. It's always the customer's fault. Whatever happened to the customer's right? Poor Fran, she got a terrible bill one year, and she called them up and wanted an explanation. Well, maybe it's your Christmas lights were on too long. She said, what Christmas lights? My husband died a number of years ago, and we have not celebrated Christmas in that way. We don't even have a Christmas tree up with lights on it, so don't give me that. What was nice is Peter, being part of the twosome team in that household, would go outside and check that meter and check that meter, and when he had his own listing and recordings, he presented it, and voila, everything was settled. So I have to give him credit for that. He was always there for his mom, and his mom was always there for him. So I want to tell you, I have a lot of great memories. I could talk about this for another hour, but I think everybody is a little sick and tired of hearing about me talking about Fran. But God bless her. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joan. And now our 4th speaker is John Ramassa, The Benefits of Walking. Let's welcome John Ramassa.
Thank you, ma'am. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. I, too, like my distinguished presenters before me, to take a few minutes of my time also to divert from my speech and to say a heartfelt thanks to our past member, Fran Okerson. Because of Fran Okerson's leadership, her determination, and her professionalism, really what got myself and my wife involved in Toastmasters. Without Fran's guidance and without her prodding and so forth, I wouldn't be involved in Toastmasters like the way I am now. But to see how she was dedicated and what she did and what she accomplished over her lifelong accomplishments with the Toastmaster program and the leadership she presented, I think is for every Toastmaster to emulate as far as what they want to be in the program. So again, for the short time we knew Fran, I want to say a heartfelt, warm thanks to her for everything she did to us in the past before she left us. I wish she was still here naturally like everyone does, and I really do appreciate all she has done for us now and will show in the present and the future. Now, going back to my topic, the benefits of walking. How many of us really want to exercise? A portly gentleman as myself, I don't think you would probably say, what is he talking about exercise? Why is he talking about walking? Well, walking to me is a lot easier to do than running. And to do walking is something that's really nonchalantly to say that something that you don't even have to think about. In the daily course of your activities and your routine, daily living, walking, whether you're walking through your home, you walk in the park, taking a walk down the block to your local store, to you, you might not think offhandedly that's not doing you any good, health-wise. Well, you're sadly mistaken. Every time you get up off the couch, every time you get out of the house, every time you walk somewhere without taking that automobile, is doing yourself a health benefit whether you believe it or not. Now, you don't have to walk a brisk pace, you don't have to walk a real slow pace, but something moderately in between. And just for a matter of 30 minutes out of your day, to even if you can do an hour, would be a real great overall benefit and improvement in your health. Many people would not think that walking would do anything to your health as far as making you feel better or making you have a better life and a better frame of mind. But that's farther from the truth. Really, for you to go ahead and take a walk every day, you're increasing your cardiovascular and improving your cardiovascular health. You're lowering your blood sugar. If you have any lower back pains or any type of muscular or skeletal issues in your lower abdomen muscles or your lower back, you'd be surprised just by walking at least 30 minutes to an hour a day out of your day, you could actually improve your overall health benefit of how your body feels. Walking, to me, is better than running as far as I'm concerned. Many people can do running because it's more suitable for them and they get more of a health benefit, which is true. It's at a higher cardiovascular rate and the way you exercise and the way you move your metabolism. But again, if you're not up to running because of your health issues or just overall frame of mind as far as not thinking that's for you, walking can do a overall greater or same benefit as running, walking at a mildly brisk pace for at least 30 minutes to 1 hour. My wife and I, before in the past, we've been able to try to walk 1 mile to start out with in the park where we live, and we've beefed it up until about 2 miles to 3 miles a day or every other day or at least a few times a week. And you would be surprised how much I better feel, how better of a frame of mind I have, how overall clearly thinking and clearer outlook on life has presented to me through that vast resource of exercise of walking, as I so speak. Now, walking can be done in a park, it could be down the block, it could be on a beach, it could be anywhere. Subconsciously, you're walking every day that you're going somewhere. So when you use walking in terms of overall health benefits and to give yourself an extra motivation as what it can do to you health-wise, that is something I believe, truthfully, that if you were to keep with it, keep at it at least 2 to 3 times a week at a minimum, and if you can at least do it maybe twice or actually once a day, every day of the week, that'd be very, very beneficial to you. And if it's beneficial to you, it'll be beneficial to everyone around you. So again, I really do impress upon you all, such as myself, which took a lot of motivation on my part to get out and do something, because I thought it took maybe too much of my time, my effort. I just don't want to do it. Maybe it's too much for me. that's farther from the truth. I need to do more of it. I anticipate to do more of it. I want to continue to do more of it. And again, I just really want to encourage everyone, more importantly, including myself, of all people, to continue and to make myself a better life. Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster.
John, I got a question for you,
Yes.
and that is, I live on the 7th floor of an apartment building, and I take the stairs rather than the elevator. Do you think that counts as walking?
It does count as walking. It might not be for everyone, again, because when you talk about stairs, you talk about like a Stairmaster, which it maybe impacts your knees, your joints. And you could also maybe, depending if you can do it, it's preferable you can take the stairs, by all means do it. But a lot of people, because of their arthritic problems they have in their knees, they find it's too much of a strain to do that. But if you can do it, I do encourage you to do it. And if you do it, taking the stairs, like Rachel just mentioned, it's same as walking. You're still moving those lower body extremities and those lower joints, and you're still getting a lot of great benefit out of it.
Thank you, John. And I know for myself, at least walking down the stairs is less impactful than walking up. And I've recognized a benefit to my health by doing that. So thanks for that very timely, as we're moving into the fall and winter, reminder that we need to keep moving. Jane?
Yes, thank you, Rachel. Thank you very much, John. Yes, walking is very beneficial. Sometimes running is too impactful on your knees. So walking is definitely a much better form of exercise. Speaking about the stairs, what I try to explain to people is that even if you're home and the weather is bad and you have a flight of stairs in your home, walk up and down the flight of steps once or twice. And if you get tired, you could always sit down on the step. But at least you are getting that form of exercise in some form. So that was a very good note, Rachel. And now I'd like to welcome our 5th speaker, Rachel Weiss. Her speech is All Professional, Memories of Fran Okeson. Everybody please welcome Rachel Weiss.
Thank you, Jane. Yeah, all professional? Kind of like a question. When I first started helping out with the District 83 Toastmasters, it was getting ready for the Toastmasters District Conference. And we heard Joan talk about the conference and the traveling that Fran did to that conference. Well, she was also part of the conference committee, and I was one of the conference committee chairs. And I remember at that time we were going through a transition to the new logo from Toastmasters. And one of the people on the committee said, well, not everyone has the new logo and not everyone has the old logo. Why don't we let them just put up a banner identifying their club? Because we want to be able to recognize all of the clubs and have some way of being able to visualize what that club is. And Fran said, do you think that's professional? Fran always brought us back to the fact that Toastmasters isn't a social club. It isn't a time of just doing whatever we want. It is a professional organization. There's time to have fun. There's time to laugh. But overall, it is a professional organization. That same conference, I got an understanding of professionalism from Fran into a deeper and a more personal way than I've ever had before. And I've been involved with Toastmasters for about 3 years at that point. She did it in a way that didn't seem threatening, that didn't seem to be putting you down, but really lifted you up. After the conference was over, we had our dinner, and then we had dancing afterwards. And I saw Fran in her little scooter dancing around that dance floor in such a way that I realized she too could have fun. And Kevin Thompson, who was part of our crew and still is part of our crew, was her dance partner. To see the two of them really moving that scooter and those dance moves on the floor to the music really was encouraging. So all professional? No, she had a fun time and a fun atmosphere on her as well. But the professionalism came. I remember Paul Scharf. She called Paul out that he needed to dress as a professional when he was part of the club, what we call club growth director now, and program quality director, on his way up to being the district director. He was the first district governor for District 83. She got him to put on a suit and a tie. And for some men, having that constriction around their neck was a big deal. But he did it for Fran. She was a leader. She knew how to connect with her audience. She knew how to connect with me and to bring out the best leadership qualities in me. They were there, but I was scared. They were there, but I was afraid. They were there, but I leaned back. She taught me how to lean in and step up and to step in. CTV, Toastmasters in the Community, was something that was very near and dear to her heart. She selected the people that she felt would be the professional image of Toastmasters to put them before the camera and to put them behind the camera. I've been with CTV now for over 5 years. It doesn't seem like 5 years because it's been a pleasure to work with her. It has been times of laughter, times of seriousness, professionalism, yes, but a joy overall. I, too, remember the phone calls. Just a quick question, which lasted an hour, hour and a half. But out of that hour and a half, we covered so many topics. Got to think outside the box. Got to think about how to do things differently, better, whether that be in Toastmasters or Toastmasters in the community. And it was a work that we did with pleasure and joy. The time of an hour, hour and a half seemed like 5 or maybe 15 minutes. She passed on September 11th. That was a significant day because she was the district governor when the Twin Towers fell. We lost a lot of good friends on that day, on that event. And I'm sure that was heavy on our heart. And it's hard to say goodbye. October 28th was her anniversary with Toastmasters. She had been a Toastmaster for 31 years. She gave over 1,000 speeches. And yet the enthusiasm that she brought to the table was as if she had just joined last year. She embraced Pathways. I was her mentor for Pathways, helping lead and guide her in the new vision, the new education of Toastmasters. I always remember, you don't have a table topic? Well, what's in your pocketbook? What's in your pocket? Ask them to talk about that for table topics. She always had a way of taking the obvious and bringing more depth and meaning to it. After 82 years of life, the life that she lived was rich and full and meaningful. I hope that when I'm 82, I'm giving as much to others as she did. Thank you, Fran.
Thank you so much, Rachel, for that very poignant speech. I remember many, many lengthy conversations that I had with Fran. And at first I didn't realize how lengthy they would be. So I always knew that when we spoke, if she called me, I would say, Fran, is this important? do you need more time? I only have this amount of time. Or if I had the time, just let the conversation go where may. Very interesting, informative, and very fun. One of the things we didn't touch upon is her sense of humor.
Yes.
Fran had a wonderful sense of humor. And she was one of those people that could say a joke with a very straight face and put that joke out there, and you would almost look at her and then just couldn't help but laugh. So that was a beautiful speech.
And she was naive in some ways that when we did something, she didn't catch on. And then when she did, that big radiant smile would come on her face, and that bubbling joy of just the laughter that will always be in my memory.
Mine too. And now we will start with our evaluations, and I would like to welcome John Ramassa back to the podium, evaluating my speech.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. There's not really much to evaluate this speech other than it was excellent on Jane's part about Fran. As needlessly to say that everything hit high marks, everything was exactly correct as what she presented. Fran, as a person of enormous intellect and a beautiful person, professional person as she was, and how she impacted so many people, everything that Jane presented in her speech, from all the elements that had to be graded on, were high marks. I can't think of anything else she could have added. She probably could have, but it would have been here many more hours of her past accomplishments that she did accomplish and make an impact on with many, many people in the program. Everything that Jane said was true to form. As far as what we knew of Fran, me and my wife, they are in a short time together, at least for my part. Everything was very, very on the mark. Clearly presented, thoughtfully presented, heartfelt, really professional, and really, really made Fran and presents Fran to everyone in the positive and true and in informational and heartfelt light as she should be presented to everyone in this community. Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
Our next evaluator is Rachel Weiss, evaluating Song Ramassa. Rachel.
Thank you, Jane. Song, what a wonderful speech. You had a great smile, as always. You had a good topic that was not only relevant to us, but relevant to our home audience as well. Getting the audience involved and asking that question is a great technique. It's hard when you can't see your audience. But you did a great job of letting us know that you've engaged and connected with us. You had nice head gestures, good eye contact. The way that you tossed your head a little bit one way or the other was meaningful and impactful in what you had to say. But your hand gestures, they need to get a little bit from below the table to above the table. You had that a little bit towards the end, but we need to see a little bit more of that. It has to be able to express. Just like you express yourself in dance, when we speak, our hands are there to express and bring out more about what we're saying. One thing that I want you to be aware of, and maybe it's because you're talking about dance, but there was a lot of little bit of side-to-side movement when you're talking. And when you're doing that, as I'm doing it right now, it takes away a little bit about what you're saying. When you're talking about dance, maybe you want to put that in there. But otherwise, let your hands do the movement to bring in the audience. You had excellent diction, very well chosen words, and the injection of humor was phenomenal. I really liked the way that you brought that all together. Your reference to study was important. I think you could have identified where that information was coming from so that if we wanted to learn more, we'd have a way of connecting. But you did give us a reference to a book and you did do a good job of giving us that location as to get engaged with that book. Again, a wonderful speech, and I look forward to hearing more speeches from you, Sung.
Thank you very much, Rachel. I will be giving the third evaluation on Joan Maurizio's speech, Do You Remember? Joan is an experienced speaker and easily connects with the audience. She uses gestures and has good vocal variety. She shared her fears and connected with the audience, also sharing her experiences so that the audience was able to get to know her. She adequately prepared for her speech, though it was a lot of her life lessons that she had to speak about, but you could see that there was preparation that was done prior to that. Joan speaks clearly and has an audible tone of voice. She had an opening, a body, and a conclusion to her speech. And Joan didn't need to use notes. I didn't think she needed to do anything differently, possibly more hand gestures, just to, again, as Rachel had said, bringing the audience in, that using our hands enhances the speech. I enjoyed hearing about her experiences and her adventures with Fran in Toastmasters. Thank you very much, Joan, for such a fun speech. And now I'd like to welcome Song Ramassa evaluating John Ramassa's speech, The Benefits of Walking.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. It is my pleasure to evaluate John's speech titled The Benefits of Walking. This speech is his second one in front of the TV camera at the Toastmasters in the community. His spoken language was clear, and the speech was easily understood thanks to his appropriate tone and volume. Listening to his research regarding improving physical and mental health well-being by simply walking was refreshing. John used physical gesture at the beginning of his speech, but I thought he could use some more. The evaluation form that I had filled out for the speaker previously, there was an item regarding effectively using eye contact to engage audience. However, it is challenging to any speakers to engage audience since the audience is in the dark when we make speeches in front of the TV camera. John, well done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Song. I found all of the speeches today very heartfelt, whether we were speaking about Fran or speaking about dancing and walking, which is very beneficial to all of us. Many people don't realize that we could really use dancing as that form of exercise that we may need to get. Our fifth evaluator is Joan Maurizio, and she will be evaluating Rachel Weiss's speech. Welcome, Joan.
Oh, thank you. Thank you to the welcoming committee. Alrighty, this was great. That's why I did not dare, even though it was a little over 6.5 minutes, I knew we had the time because this was such a fantastic speech. There's a whole bunch of things that they ask you to talk about, but some of them I just didn't agree with. There was no distraction mannerism, so I crossed that word out. I don't care. I put natural. Everything was natural. And your personal appearance, and your position, your facial expression are always excellent, always good. I like how you approached this gently and nicely, and you did a wonderful job. You really did. In your content and introduction, it's not just here. She's always had, her speech was always well handled. She always knew where to start, where to finish, and that meat in the middle of that sandwich. The body conclusion and did it flow? Well, I said, you brought back memories, especially times spent with Toastmasters, so that was very important. And I liked the variety because you talked about lots of stories and anecdotes. This was great. And for enthusiasm, sincerity, force, rate, pitch, I gave you all par excellence. There's nothing to complain about. So I said here, what I liked about this, and I'm reacting to what you had said, was the purpose of the speech, remembering Fran in every good way, yes, in triplicate, achieved your, and you do that all the time, not just today. And every speech you give is excellent, but this one was heartwarming too. So it was wonderful. I crossed out to improve your next speech, and all I said was, I suggest that you, ... run for president. There you go. You got my vote.
Thank you very much, Joan.
Thank you, Joan.
Yes.
Oh, we've
And
had some good speeches today.
We did. We very much. We had some great speeches.
And Joan, I thank you for Jane, I thank you for pulling it all together, and for Joan and Sung for doing our timing. And you know, it takes a community, the Toastmasters community, to keep things going. And Jane, I just thank you for stepping up to be our leader and helping us through these difficult times.
Thank you. Thank you, Rachel, also for the support. It's the hardest part of really putting our show together outside of the control room is the agenda. So that I have a really new appreciation for all that Fran did to put the show together. Now that we're in the trenches and we have that responsibility, it's a lot to appreciate. So as we start out table topics, Rachel,
Yes.
I would like to know, where would you like to visit? If there's a special place you would like to visit, and why?
That's a great question, Jane, because I'd really like to go and visit Israel. In 1978, I was planning to go and visit. It was an arduous task to get my passport. I went through and got all the information, got all the forms, I got it all filled out. But little did I know it was to be able to go to Austria and see my grandmother. My grandmother was ill, and my father's sister was ill. They both lived in Austria. And so I was able to get the passport for my brother Martin, get my dad's passport renewed, and get my passport. And all those things in time to go to Austria for Christmas. And we spent Christmas and New Year's in Austria. I've never gotten back to getting to see Israel. So that is something that I'd like to do. And you can see it's been a long time in the back of my mind.
Thank you very much, Rachel. That's on my bucket list also, to go to Israel. I now welcome Song Ramasa. Song, what is your favorite season and why?
Thank you for the question. My favorite season are all 4 of them. I love spring, enjoy swimming summertime. All season, do I even have to explain all those foliage? Leaves are changing, it's gorgeous, especially in Staten Island parks. Winter, what can I say? Don't we all make a snowman nowadays? I love winter. So, as I mentioned to you, I cannot just pick one season out of 4. And I'm so lucky to live in New York City. We have gorgeous seasons. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Song. Our next table topic question is going to go to John Ramassa. John, what is your least favorite activity and why?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Least favorite activity? I don't know. Maybe it's hard work. I don't know. The question here is that my least favorite activity probably, I would say, was dancing until my wife was able to get me involved in the art of it and the enjoyment of it and the exercise of it. Truthfully, naturally, I didn't have it on my radar screen, but now it's on the top of my radar screen. So because of her enthusiasm and prodding and getting me involved to see how much of an experience and how much of a joy it could be, I would say my least went to my first. So with that, I believe is now the focus of all my attention.
Very good. Thank you so much, John. Very interesting how you could change sometimes the least favorite thing to the most favorite. So that was very nice. I'd now like to welcome Anthony Muniz to our podium. And Anthony, what is your favorite hobby and why?
My favorite hobby, good question. My favorite hobby is dancing. Dancing because of all the reasons that were pointed out earlier. And I dance also with my wife, and we do it for cardiovascular reasons, fun reasons, and all those good things. So we learned how to dance when we got together as a couple, and we've been doing it for the past 20 years.
Wow.
Wow.
20 years. 20 years.
Yes,
That's phenomenal.
That's very, 20 years.
I'm glad that you keep that up. And it's very important to have those dates and date nights. So I'm sure dancing is one of those date nights.
So,
Excellent.
yes. Thank you very much.
Jane, I'm going to ask you a question now. We're coming into the holiday seasons, and the next holiday this month is going to be Thanksgiving. What is the favorite thing that you like to have or do on Thanksgiving?
So Thanksgiving to me is very special because through the years I've realized how important it is to have gratitude in your life. But anytime anybody mentions Thanksgiving, I can't help but think about candied sweet potatoes. Now, my children loved mashed sweet potatoes with marshmallows on top. And we've started to convert from making the candied sweet potatoes and start presenting the mashed sweet potatoes with the marshmallows. But I can't help but think of my mother's, when my mother makes the candied sweet potatoes with the syrup and the brown sugar. And so that's always my first thought. I started to make them all during the year, so it's one of the things now that my daughter asks me for, and I'll make them frequently for her, but I still can't help it. When I hear Thanksgiving, I think candied sweet potatoes. So, thank you.
Thank you, Jane. I know for us as New Yorkers, going to see the Macy's parade has always been something special for me. And having someone from out of town and bringing them to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade has always been a treat to bring my relatives. I have twin cousins from Austria, and I remember bringing them to the Macy's parade. And they were just in awe because they don't do things like that in Austria. That is something that I still remember doing with my grandmother, sitting in front of that TV set on Thanksgiving, smelling the turkey growing, the the growing smells of the turkey and all those other, such as the sweet potato casseroles, and watching the parade. So that is my favorite thing to happen at Thanksgiving. TV audience, what's yours?
Think about, as we get closer to Thanksgiving, is there something new you might want to introduce into your Thanksgiving menu? It's always nice to have your traditional ones, but then it's always nice to see something different on the table. Maybe somebody new is coming and they might suggest something. So for Thanksgiving, we would like to put it out there to you. Think about trying or making a new tradition in your home.
And as Jane said, think about what you are thankful for. We have so much. Remember what it is that we have. Jane?
Yes. You know, this show is in memory of Fran Okeson. And we all, I know I can speak for our crew and for our Toastmaster Club and our Toastmaster community. We are all thankful for Fran Okeson. Thank you all for joining us. We wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving and a great holiday season.
We look forward to talking to you and seeing you in Toastmasters in the community in December. All right, everyone can come up front.